Hey, Boy Manning here. Welcome to the Garn Report from Kristaps Porzingis' introduction, Celtics. Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla specifically here to welcome Porzingis to Boston officially after the trade that sent out Marcus Smart and brought in Porzingis, who as of now is not extended long-term. Reports indicating that is what the Celtics hope to do here with him. He can sign a 2-year, $77 million extension in a short time frame here. Brad Stevens said they'll wait on that, see what happens over the next couple weeks here. Free agency, of course, set to begin tomorrow at 6 o'clock as well. In terms of Porzingis, though, optimistic about his fit here. He wants to help out Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum. One of the big concerns I had when they made this move is that he's a high usage guy. He's a guy who plays with the ball in his hands. Porzingis, in contrast today, said he wants to support these two stars that the Celtics already had. And speaking of Joe Mazzulla just a few minutes ago, he likes Porzingis' ability to play on the trail, finish three-pointers, pick and pop, I'm sure, as well as play in the post. And in Joe fashion, he said just get him the ball in the post. That's how they're going to do that. So there is a flexibility to Porzingis' game that's going to allow him not only to play close to the rim and further away from the rim, but also play in different combinations with these bigs. Al Horford fits seamless. Both those guys able to space the floor. You could even play 5 out while playing double big. It's the best of both worlds there. The Robert Williams one's going to be a little more interesting. You might have to see Porzingis play as more of a spot-up shooter in that spot while Rob's that roller, but it is possible. So that is the big thing Joe Mazzulla, Brad Stevens emphasized today, is that lineup flexibility. Of course, we've talked about as well, limiting the minutes on those two other big men who were already here, who needed support. And Stevens said earlier this month, when those guys weren't available, they were in a tough spot last year in the postseason. So this shores up that front court without taking too much away from the back court. That's what Mazzulla emphasized today as well. They love Derek White. They love Malcolm Brogdon, who continues to be talked about as part of this team's future, and Peyton Pritchard as well, who certainly had his ups and downs here in terms of playing time, opened up more here by the Smart addition. So all three here in attendance, optimistic about how this is going to go into the future here. There are intangible things like leadership in the locker room and such that Porzingis and everyone who is already here are going to have to step up in terms of replacing Marcus Smart here. But on the court, this fit was undeniable. That's the big thing they stressed here today, is that this just had to happen from a winning perspective. And Mazzulla said they're feeling the loss from last year. That was the biggest thing, is that they need to feel that Eastern Conference Finals loss, going down 3-0 in that series, and now move past it. And Porzingis is going to be a big part of reshaping this team's identity in a way. Brad's emphasized they played at their best when they're bigger. Last year they played small for a lot of that season. And yes, CBA came out today. There's big implications to having 3 stars. Having 3 stars long term, if they decide to extend and keep Jaylen Brown long term, if they decide to extend and keep Porzingis long term on top of an eventual supermax that's inevitable at this point for Jayson Tatum. There'll be big penalties, draft picks, not being able to add to the roster in different ways, narrowing how this team can make trades. And I asked Brad, why are you incurring those penalties to add a 3rd star here? And he said, plainly, we want to win. So that is the route the Celtics think gives them the best opportunity to win now. That's their focus. Draft picks, other roster tweaks into the future, they'll have to figure that out then. But for now, the Celtics have a couple years here where they'll have a strong supporting cast, a big 3, and a ton of flexibility at both the guard and center spot. And that's what Kristaps Porzingis brings to town, emphasizing he's entering his prime. He reached a new level of maturity in recent years, looking back at his younger days and different decisions, saying, why'd I do that? Why'd I do that even a couple of years ago? It's one of the things that stuck out to me here about Porzingis. How will he fit in the locker room dynamic? How will he ultimately fit on the court? We'll have to wait and see for that until the fall. But next up for this team, free agency tomorrow. We'll have a live special coming up at 6 o'clock when The window opens there for teams to start negotiating with players. Grant Williams received the qualifying offer today, according to The Athletic, so he will enter restricted free agency. J.D. Davison will as well, Celtics young point guard who's eligible to come back on a two-way deal. And everything else will get addressed from there. We'll have all the coverage here, CLNS Media, Celtics All Access. Subscribe to both those channels for more reaction. And check out Porzingis, Missoula, and Stevens presser here on CLNS Media after it just streamed live a few minutes ago. If you missed it, it's still up there. And we'll talk to you soon. I'm Bobby Manning. This has been the Garden Report from Auerbach Center.
Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets.